Malazan, Book of the Fallen, has quite the interesting magic system. Like many other things within the series, it is tied into its larger themes and many other elements of the world building. So it's not so straightforward to explain because you have to understand a lot of fundamental things about the overall vision of Malazan to get the weight and the consequences of what is being presented to you. That being said, I'm going to try in this video to distill the magic system of Malazan into a quick, digestible, and understandable video for you to enjoy. Now, whether you are a die-hard Malazan fan who has read the whole series or someone who is just curious about the magic workings behind the scenes, I'm hoping this video is going to provide some insights not only into the direct workings of the Malazan magic system, but my own view on how it ties into the greater ideas of the series, and I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments down below, because narratively, Malazan is not one solid vision, it's known for that, but thematically I do believe it is, and almost all of the elements of the wider world lend some form of weight to this wider view and philosophy that Steven Erikson has put forth within the original 10 books, the only ones I have read. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about Warrens. So the ability to use magic within the world of the Malazan books is something that characters are usually born with, but there are examples of people later in life kind of discovering they have abilities and learning them from there, or actually even using magic without fully realizing what they are doing. That's usually, of course, very subtle. You can't exactly throw a fireball out of your fist and not know that that was magic, but there are definitely people who do slight things that aren't conscious attempts, but are absolutely accessing various Warrens. Well, okay, you obviously are going to be thinking at this point, what the hell is a Warren? Well, a Warren is essentially a separate pocket dimension from the reality we currently live in, and each Warren provides different sets of mages with various abilities. No two Warrens bring the exact same powers to the table. For example, the Warren of Tinlan provides its users with access to various fire capabilities. This is not something that is straightforward as like firebending. It's a lot more diverse, and especially like the higher levels of using the Fire Warren, you can get into some various abilities that I think go well above and beyond what your average fire user is thought of. Like, it gets into the higher concepts around like heat. Some Warrens could even be entered by the users who could access them for various reasons, something as simple as travel or something more high concept. But this, like many things involving using Warrens, is extremely dangerous to do, largely because of the chaos factor. To fully understand what exactly is happening when a Warren is accessed, a mage is tearing a hole into the fabric of our own reality. And between these realities exists chaos. This is a force that is not to be trifled with, and if you do not know what you are doing, catastrophic results can occur. I want to go ahead and cut in here and say some stuff here is clearly coming across vague, but that's actually intentional within the series. Erikson has made it known that he's not exactly a fan of hard magic systems. This is a softer magic system, and it's one that you as the reader never get all of the information for. The way it's presented to the reader is often something that is understood and known within the world, so why take the time to explain the details of it? That's kind of just reflective of Erikson's wider approach as an author. You as the reader have to pick up a lot of things and fill in blanks from various hints dropped along the way. But Warrens are not the only magical force in play here. There's actually an older source of a similar, if more raw form of magic called holds. These were created in a time long ago, and their utilization and knowledge is not nearly on the level of Warrens is within the main Malazan series now. While they do present a more raw form of power, what they're actually capable of providing their users is not nearly as complex or refined as what Warren mages often bring to the table. A character within the series, Carlo, likened the usage of hold magic as to riding on a wagon with square wheels. Not exactly something that seems a good fit for us now. Okay, that's all well and dandy, but where exactly did Warrens come from? How did this magical force come into play? There's actually an answer to that within the text. An elder god Krul. No, not K. Rool, not King K. Rool from Smash. Stop it. Krul. K''RUL. Do not picture him as a giant king lizard. That's not. Stop it. This god performed a blood ritual which resulted in the creation of the 12 younger warrens accessible to man. Now, the 9 elder warrens were already in existence, and their origin is more tied to the realities and planes of existence the races tied to them came from before they entered Malazan. Here is a full chart presenting the known warrens throughout the series. It's complex. As you can see, this is not something that is easy to explain, and as a magic user, it's not easy to fully grasp, as these are like almost forces of natures within their own realities that you must learn to wield. Now, some interesting details though about warrens. Most magic users are born with affinities to specific ones, and that is usually the one they are limited to using. But we have seen examples of certain mages being able to access multiple warrens. Now, I mentioned there can be some catastrophic results from not knowing exactly what you're doing when using warren magic. A great example of this is in the first book, Gardens of the Moon. A wounded mage has his soul, through warren magic, transplanted into a marionette. Very much so oversimplifying and even borderline misrepresenting the arc of this story, because, you know, avoiding spoilers. This brought this mage's soul too close to chaos and eventually drove him mad. He had to be put down living in this marionette body like a rabid dog. Now, I could actually make a video, and I might in the future, explaining the magic provided by each individual warren, because they're essentially magic systems within their own right. Let's get into each and every single one and list them off. Now, the younger warrens I mentioned before are the warrens that are actually available for human magic users. The elder warrens cannot be accessed by man. Now, these younger ones are Errol Gimlain, the Path of Demons; Dunil, the Path of Healing; Driss, the Path of Stone; Hood's Path, the Path of Death; Minyas, the Path of Shadow and Illusion; Makra, the Path of the Mind; Rashan, the Path of Darkness; Ruz, the Path of the Sea; Cirque, the Path of the Sky; Talas, the Path of Fire; Tennis, the Path of the Land; Thyre, the Path of the Light. Now notice, not all of those are as direct as like fire. Again, something like darkness provides some interesting things, especially at the higher levels. I won't exactly get into because spoilers. One of the things I most enjoyed about Malazan was slowly learning what exactly each warren could provide its mages. Now, the elder warrens, which are not accessible by man, are actually tied to individual races. Now let's get into each one of these, and I will butcher a lot of these pronunciations. Talan, elder warren of fire; Serval Demlane, the elder warren of dragons and chaos; Omtos Falak, the elder warren of ice; Karald Emerlan, the elder warren of shadow; Karan Losan, the elder warren of light; Karan Galain, the elder warren of darkness; Kashan, an elder warren born of sounds beyond our hearing; Denith Rasen, an elder warren of the seas; Akras Koverlane. Cut in. Some of the elder warrens are also described as these holds I previously mentioned, while others aren't. It's confusing, and a part of the whole everything's not super well defined of Malazan, so I do apologize for that, but I don't even necessarily have the answers after looking at the books again and rereading a lot of the wikis. If someone in the comments sections wants to define the whole elder warren holds, which are which, go ham. Now, when assessing the powers brought by each warren, it's easy to say that some are actually more powerful than others. But you must understand that each individual mage will be better or worse within their individual warren. So just because someone belongs or is attached to a warren that is typically stronger does not mean they can automatically dominate anyone from a warren that is not quite as strong, because that person could be stronger within their respective warren. Now, an additional limitation to each individual mage accessing a warren is there's a physical toll brought on the individual user while accessing a warren. Now, this toll is not super well defined, and it seems to vary greatly from magic user to magic user, though there is quite a bit of evidence that accessing multiple warrens at once will bring an exponentially higher physical toll on that magic user. You will see an early on example of this in a character called Quick Ben. A fantastic character I think pretty much everybody loves. Though I do want to make clear, even with all these dangers and limitations in place, it's not like mages don't access their warren unless it's life or death. No, there's absolutely utilization of warrens in small ways that are fairly safe, and you can just go about, making your day easier as a mage this way. And from what you've probably picked up here, there's really very few limits of what warrens can accomplish at the higher levels from the greater users. users. I mean, you can do fast communication, travel, fire, light, darkness, shadow. There's all kinds of stuff, and I don't want to spoil how warrens are creatively used throughout the series, because it truly does result in some of the most awe-inspiring moments within Malazan, learning just how extreme warrens can be. I do want to end on the note, though, that there are of course words being used here like chaos and darkness. Those elements are not inherently evil in some way, though. That ties wonderfully into the wider themes of Malazan. This is not a series that will allow the reader to nicely put good and evil into corners. Here we have forces at work, and when getting into Malazan Book of the Fallen, that is the whole point. From the gods to the humans, everything moves for a reason. There are no clear-cut, simple answers to these wider forces within Malazan. Think of it as conflict and resolution. Even the oh-so-dangerous chaos mentioned serves a purpose, as it is the warren of the dragons. So that is the best overview of the magic system within Malazan I can get into without going full on spoilers, which I do want to avoid doing. But let me know if you think I missed any of the big important points in the comments down below. Please mark any spoilers. That is very important for people who are just trying to get into the series. And like and subscribe if you have not already. Check out my book, Breach of Peace, and the links in the comments down below. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to do a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon, Melinda J. Trop. Hope you're having a good one.